Hello. So today I want to talk about my journey a little bit of getting started in body work, and uh, what kind of brought that up was I entered a contest to win a new uh, Earthlight massage table because I'm going to start doing out call again now that COVID is officially over per se, and they asked about telling a little bit of your story. And what I realized was I always give an abridged version of what happened, which is the short 30-second version is that I was tired of being in retail for my whole life, and I had this ambition to be something better, something more, where I could help others do something other than pick out their favorite shoe or electronics or what else have I sold? Beds, you name it. Good at selling stuff, but the one thing I realize is the heart center, if you will, of what we're meant to do. Like what are we born to do? And I realized I had this gift that I could sense things on people. I call it my spidey sense, and fix it, basically. But going all the way back to 2004, 2003, I had gotten back into shoes. Um, I had been out of it for probably, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 years at that point, maybe longer, actually, now I think about it. But I had bad feet, and my main goal was just to be able to afford the expensive shoes so my feet could heal. And I just opened the door of all kinds of, knowledge. I've always been a knowledge junkie, a science person. Um, when I got out of high school, I wanted to be either a physical therapist or an athletic trainer. That was my goal because I perceive myself as an athlete, and I spent a lot of time healing from things, but I felt like you just live with the pain, and I figure out that there's got to be a better way. Anyways, going back to like 2003, 2004, I got into selling orthopedic like shoes, and my feet weren't necessarily getting better. If anything, they got worse. I was putting on a lot of weight. I got up over 300 pounds. I was drinking a lot, smoking a lot of pot for the pain, dealing with a lot of stress, just a lot of stuff that I hadn't dealt with from my childhood and stuff. But not really. When I say deal, it's more like, I think the proper word is suppress, and that just made things worse, and that's probably what added up to the weight gain. Anyways, the company I was working for, they came to me and said they were going to close down the store and offered me a job, one of two places to continue my journey in that company. And I had a choice between Gilroy, California, or the Gulf of Mexico in a little town called Foley, Alabama. And we had internet back then. It's weird to say that now, thinking it's been 20 years, but I Googled it and found out the white sand beaches of the Gulf of Mexico sounded pretty awesome. It was right next to Florida. I like warm weather, so I headed south with a girlfriend and her daughter, who was, I think she was probably 4 at the time. Maybe she was 5. She must have been 5. 99. Yep, she was just turned 5 in May. So we were heading to Alabama, and we weren't there a month before our experience with Hurricane Ivan. It was a Category 5 hurricane, and it was supposed to land basically right where we were. Gulf Shores, Alabama was a town about 5 miles from where we lived, around the Gulf of Mexico there. And I was in charge of the store, so I had basically me and three other people were basically boarding up the store. I had to go through. There was a lot of firsts on that trip, and that was definitely one of them. Really put fear in me. I was responsible for a lot of people. Um, Basically, we packed up the car with a few things that we thought were important, and we headed west. Get out of the storm. We thought we'd drive to New Orleans and just stay, because the course of the storm was supposed to go east, and that was crazy. It was normally about a 3-hour drive from where we lived, just south of Mobile. Um, Usually that would take about half an hour to get to Mobile, 40 minutes to Mobile. It took us hours. They evacuated, and there was estimated 1 million people on the road simultaneously. We literally would be on the highway, and we would park for 20, 30 minutes and not move, because there were so many people stalling traffic, basically. Normally it'd be about a 3-hour drive to New Orleans. It took us approximately 12 hours. And when we got there, and I remember it to this day, we basically were driving into town, and it says, "Welcome to New Orleans." And on the radio comes a broadcaster saying the whole important message, please evacuate the city of New Orleans. And the storm had decided it's going to go west instead, and I had to make a decision. She didn't know what to do. I didn't really know what to do, but I felt obligated to make an executive decision, just keep driving until we find a place. And so we did. We ended up staying in a little town called Lafayette. I'm like, stop at the next hotel. I'm like, we got to sleep, because it'd probably been about 14 or 15 hours on the road at that point. It was dark, and yeah, and so we stayed a night in probably, I would say, the worst hotel I've ever stayed in. But we were fortunate to have a roof above our heads, especially with the 5-year-old. But I tell you, I'm like, let's just keep going in the morning. And so we did. We didn't really sleep. Got up early. We drove back to Dallas, where we had some friends, and we stayed the night. And then one of the guys I worked with stayed there in Alabama, and he just kept feeding me news about the conditions and how bad it was. And yeah, I mean, basically at that moment I knew that something in my life had changed, but maybe not on a cognitive level. I felt weak. I felt like I wasn't supporting my family. Financial things are already not really good, even though I got a raise to move down there. The state found out that I had to pay more child support, that I was making more money, so they took more money. It just put me in a downward spiral, really. And I lasted about another 3 months, a little over 2 months, before I just pulled the plug. My boss, I told him, I can't do this. I'm struggling. I'm borrowing money from my mom every week to pay bills. I'm supposed to be taking care of people. I'm in charge of all these other people. Why am I broke? And that last couple weeks, I just started walking, even at night. Which, if you're not familiar with the area, there's alligators, but I didn't really care. I got really close with God in that moment. This was October of 2004, and yeah, it was a turning point for me, for sure. And I came back to Portland with what little I had. I still had stuff in storage here. My girlfriend and her daughter went to live with her dad in California, and basically I said, hey, wait until I get a job and we'll see how things go, and you can move back up here. That relationship kind of went to the side. I realized that my health is really important being as big as I was. I was probably about 320, 330. I remember being up to a size 46 or 48 pant. That's what I remember the most. And I'm like, I can't do this myself. I'd already been over that weight before, and I lost it before. And I'm thinking at 30 years old, I gotta do something, 31, I guess I was 31. And so I started researching stuff, started hanging out with some of my friends, like collecting ideas. I just was very observant. I was very, all that suppression I had with emotions started surfacing. I started having to cope with that. The exercise really helped with that. Watching my diet really helped with that. It made me feel good in the sense that, well, I've lost the weight before, I can do it. I need to get myself into a lifestyle that feeds that. And so I kept hearing massage come up a lot, but that was never ever on my plate or as options, honestly. I had some friends say, oh, I'm going to go to massage school. You can make really good money. Yeah, but at that age and time, money was like in the forefront because, like I say, I had child support to pay and I had to take care of myself and my family. But I mean, that was a turning point too, because now one of my philosophies is do nothing for money, and the money will come, and that's been 100% true ever since I started believing like that. So, yeah, basically, 2005 I got a job. By 2006, I had mentioned when I started that particular shoe company that I said, hey, if I don't have a management, I said I want to manage a store. If I'm not managing a store, I got plans. And I think inevitably the universe had plans for me regardless. And so even if I had taken that management position prior to going to school, I probably would still end up in school. I really think that I kept coming back to helping others heal was a priority in my mind. Having gone through so much personal pain, emotionally, physically, mentally, the psychology of it all, a lot of our pain is mental. It's just how you rework it and how you allow it to affect your muscles. And yeah, I basically started researching in the beginning of 2006. I knew I wasn't going to go back to a 4-year school because at that time college got crazy expensive. Like I remember when I came out of high school in '91, and I'm like, I can go to community school. Like even if you went to community college, you would still be under 100,000. At the time when I looked at colleges to do what I wanted to do, it was going to be close to 200,000, and I didn't want to have debt. And so I started looking into massage schools, thinking that would be a back way into sports and healing athletes. And so I found Concord Career Institute is what it used to be called when I went there. They had just started a massage program. It was what they call an accelerated program. They had night school. I could continue working during the day and go to school at night. It was marketed properly and it fit my schedule and it worked. And I think it cost me all of like $11,000, $12,000 back in 2006, 2007. And so in today's, like that might be one semester in school, if that, 1 month maybe. But yeah, I just continue working at the shoe store. The funny story about that whole situation was that I was at school in the financial office signing the paperwork for my loans, and I got a phone call from the GM at the company saying, hey, I want to meet with you, talk about an opportunity. And it was that he says, oh, I need to talk to you too. And because I was going to school regardless. I didn't ask for like, hey, if I go to school, I might need you to work around my schedule. It was, I'm going to go to school and we'll figure it out. And so, yeah, we ended up meeting at Lloyd Center, which is where I worked at the time. And yeah, I said, hey, I really need to talk to you about my scheduling. And I told him what happened. He's like, I was just gonna offer you the Clackamas store. I'm like, ah. I said, I've been here over a year. I said, it's been 16 months, 17 months since I had started. And I said, I got to get on with my life. Like, for someone like that who was a family ran business, that was his life. So I think sometimes it's hard for perception of what people have focus on, you know. But yeah, I was all in, and that was the beginning of it all. Realistically, I think my biggest fear was like, am I going to remember it all? Because I have a ton of learning disabilities, you know, and so my memory has always been phenomenal. But that's why I'm always really good at tests, and I would always wait until the last minute to study for tests, because I can go over the information and associate it, and like, you know, I'm really good at taking tests. I always have been, and that really got me through school. We were allowed 7 absences while we were in school, and I used every single one of them for that year. I was either too tired or I was actually sick. 3 months into school, I started in July. October, I threw my back out for the first time. That was a nightmare. It was good and bad, I'll tell you that. The good was I threw my back out. Believe it or not, the good about that is if I didn't do it then when I was in massage school, I would have done it outside of that. But getting massage for free every week, that was why I was good. And so the bad about it is I had to go through this pain, and I still had to work on other people while doing that and working a full-time job. And so it put even more stress into my life. And I thought it would be good to start dating at that same time. And I met Isabella's mom that same month. It was crazy. But yeah, it was just a very unique beginning to my life in this career. I had been studying reflexology up to that point, and at the time, reflexology it wasn't gratifying, if that makes sense at the time. But I'm glad I had that tool, and realistically, that's my number one. Now, if you ask me at the massage board, that they ask you to list your modalities, that's my first one. Not just because it was the first I learned, but it's also my senses. That is what I'm most attuned to, are acupressure points, especially at feet and hands, and how it works with the body. I work on the entire body. I work on energy. I work on all kinds of things. But when it comes down to quick fixing of people, I can fix just about anything on somebody within probably 10 or 15 minutes, just working through the feet and hands. I've been doing it'll be 21 years this year. So you touch enough hands and feet, and you read people, you learn, and the one thing I kind of ran away from that is because in sports therapy, sports massage, it's not really, I would almost say it's frowned upon, because even though it's very efficient and effective, I got my dream job eventually in 2011, I do believe, 2012. I went and worked for a company called Rebound, who worked with the Blazers and Winterhawks and Portland State and all those people, and I worked on athletes. I worked on Olympic athletes. I worked on everybody you can imagine. A lot of car accidents even. But one thing I learned was that my intuition was told to stay in a box working in that environment. And when I would work on people, my common sense and intuitiveness, my innate ability to feel things on people, was shunned upon because they wanted you to do what the insurance companies want to pay for. And that's not just an opinion, that's a fact. And I've seen what they would be paid by Portland Trailblazer Association So I know how much they make per month for that, and what I made was a pea in a bucket, so to speak. So if you told the insurance company, yeah, he touched my feet and now my shoulder don't hurt, like they're like, something hokey with this. Did they even have a problem in the first place? Uh, yes, they did. I'm just really good at what I do, and there's very, very, very few. I can count on one hand how many people I haven't been able to fix in my lifetime doing this, and 100% of the time, not even 99.9% of the time, those are emotional cases that people are not connected to their healing ability. Like I've met people more than one occasion that they're blocking their own healing ability. There's actually a book I own. It's over there somewhere, but it's basically refers to why people don't heal, and it talks about that. And it's interesting too. Like on that point, there's so many times in my life where I have to take continuing education classes, and I've already been doing or found on my own research and experience what other people have written about, and so that observation gene I have is very powerful, and I think it really says a lot about my skill set and how I'm able to attune to people's wellness and getting where they need to go. Um, you know, kind of back to the whole getting my license and stuff. 2007, when I graduated, I you have to do an externship to get your license, and at that time I had to take 2 tests as well. But the externship, I got placed in a location where my grandmother used to go a lot. She was a caregiver for terminally ill, and the hospital over on 60th and Belmont is where I did my externship. I don't remember how many. I want to say it was 250 hours. It might have been less than that, but it was a lot because I had to work roughly like 40 hours a week for like 3 weeks plus. Maybe it's 120 hours, 125 hours, something like that. Anyways, that location, it really, each floor had a different setup. So they had like post-op for like knee replacements, carpal tunnel. Some were short stay. Like a lot of that stuff now is alcohol. Like you just basically go in, go home the same day. But a lot of these people were older too, or they didn't have families or somebody to watch after them. But I remember one guy specifically. He had diabetes, and he had, instead of taking a toe at a time, he asked them to take his whole leg from the knee down. And yeah, I was close to that guy. He was only supposed to be there a week. He ended up being there 2 weeks because he got an infection. And but I sat with him every day for those few weeks I was there, and that he was there, I should say. You see, he had left. And yeah, it's just it was very inspiring. I kept coming back to caring for others in that facility. You know, coming back to reflexology. When I was in school, it was medical associated, so it was purely Swedish massage, like post-op sports stuff, like very marketing the craft, if you will. That's not who I am today. I don't market anything. I don't pay for anything. I never have actually really paid for advertising. I've learned to trust the universe on that, and doing like these little videos and stuff. I try and do more of it. I love talking. I don't like being in front of a camera. I don't like my voice, and I don't like the way I look on camera, but I'll try my best. But going back to that, what I was saying was basically these little glimpses of what I would be doing today was, relatively speaking, always coming up. And I think if I had not worked for that company at the Moda Center and seen the routine of the medical facilities, of how things went. Everything's very routine, meaning like you're not unique. Okay, this is what we're going to do. And anybody can, there's no argument over it. I've worked on thousands and thousands of people, and every one of them story is the same. Rarely do you get somebody that goes, oh yeah, I felt special in there. They really, oh, this doctor thought outside the box. And no, you need yourself a healer in your life that does think outside the box, because not saying that they can't fix you going through those routines, but it's for the money. And as long as they stick with those routines, they get paid. COVID mixed that up too. You'll hear a lot of people talk about how they went in and they did this and then they did this, and then there's a lot of ands. It's called practicing medicine for a reason, and I practice my craft for a reason too. The difference is I have so much experience and common trust in what I do that I can sense on. I already know what the answer is right from the get-go. I trust what I see and I feel. That's so important in our industry, and the schools really train you to be foolproof and not being sued. I mean, that's what it basically boils down to. You have to trust your instinct. But I remember when I took my ethics class last year for my renewing my license, it's really important that they talk about it. And I find that's true with any licensing. You know, growing up around my grandmother and her sister, my great aunt was a nurse, and she started out in a nursing program at St. Vincent's way back in the day. When I say nursing program, we're talking non-college. Like, okay, empty bedpans. Like, that's how my aunt learned her craft. And eventually she became head of a bunch of different things. The nursing department in the ER, the nursing department in the children, the delivery, the natal care, I guess is what it's called now. But I've met so many people that are older, not so much younger, when my aunt was there. And they're like, oh, we know who Cleora is. And yeah, shout out to my aunt, rest in heaven. She I don't know, this is another story, nothing to do with this, but it sticks with me because I was like, I think 9 or 10 years old, and I lived upstairs in an attic, and I had a wood floor, and I was scooting across it over to my stereo, and I had gotten a sliver in my rear end sliding across the floor, and she just happened to be there that day visiting, and I was crying and screaming, and it hurt so bad. But what stuck with me is how she had zero fear. Like, okay, we got to get it out. There's no option. There was like, we need to get it out. We didn't go to the ER. We didn't go, oh, let's make an appointment. We're like, we're going to get it out right now. Give me some tweezers. We're going to pull the sliver out of your ass. And that's exactly what happened. And yeah, it was, you take care of the situation at hand. And that's what I was trying to get at. Is you look at somebody, okay, how are we going to make this person feel better today? And sometimes what I do is a slow process, but it's all about what it is right now. Tomorrow is a different day. Pain could come back. Pain could come back twice as it was the day before. You don't know. But the consistency of what you do is really important. And that's what I've learned in this career, is that getting people that stay on top of things are going to be your best clients, because they care enough about themselves and they're not blaming the doctor or me or somebody else. Oh, this person didn't heal me. It's not about that. I'm only here as a guide. I'm not really doing anything. I'm just doing what my knowledge says to do and what my intuition says to do. I'm connected like that. You know, I'm very specific about how I stage things in my office. Everything, there's a method to my madness, as I say. Feeling is really important. I use that as a tool every day. But I would say that getting into this profession and then kind of like making a full circle coming back really had to do, fast forwarding to like 2014. I was sick. I was having a lot of stress come back to my life from my childhood mostly. Uh, my parents were getting a divorce, and a lot of bad stuff started happening again. Started having nightmares. My health was declining. Uh, I had left Rebound at that point. I went back into working for a spa, and I realized at that point that was another whole situation too, where just working for others is really not a priority for me. Not because, well, no, that is true. I was going to say not because I don't take direction well. I do take direction well, but I also, when I don't do what I feel is right, I I hate to say this in another way, but I hear voices that say this is what you're supposed to do. And so when you have that innate ability to listen to those and you see all the gratification that comes with that, I mean, that's just how it should be. I wish a doctor would go, look, okay, this person needs to do this. Going back to my aunt, same thing. She knew what had to be done at the time she did it. I got better. Um, it's just, I don't understand why people suffer so much. You know, there's people out there that are willing to help, and because they're doing it for the wrong reasons, I feel is one of the main reasons that it doesn't magnify the positive. You know, I believe the law of attraction, and how it works for me is that when somebody is ailing, I come across them in some form or fashion, whether it be through referral or I just like, I talk about what I do. Uh, there's no accidents, there's no mistakes in that respect. Um, I had a situation yesterday. I got a phone call from somebody, and you know, I've been thinking about a lot of this particular subject matter of talking and getting out there, and I think that really you have to progress in your career. And for me now, a lot of it has to do with talking to other healers and getting other healers not just well, but having an adhesiveness to other healers, because we can't do it by ourselves. We also need healing. And so that's kind of one thing that I talked to. The number one question I hear from my clients is, who works on you? And I do have people. I definitely have my favorites. Um, but that being said, I work on myself a lot. I have a massage chair pad thing I posted on here a while back, recently actually. Um, I do that a lot. I go to the mall sometimes and sit in those little chairs. I like deep work. Um, my body is big and I'm dehydrated a lot. So, contrary to what I preach about drinking a lot of fluid, I'm a big boy and I don't drink the gallon of water that I should every day. Um, I gotta work. And I've always had occupations where it's difficult to go to the bathroom when I need to go to the bathroom, including this one, because I work. Oftentimes, my average client is probably 90 minutes, 2 hours, and so there's a period of time where I'm not. I got to go right before and then right after, and so hydration has been a game, if you will. But that being said, like who works on me, um, male and female too. Like that's really important. Like male energy is just as important as female, if anything almost more important, especially for a male, because I don't feel like men tend to trust other men to touch for whatever reason that may be. um, but I tell you what, when I was in school, there was only one other guy in that class, and he was the best massage therapist in that class, hands down, out of 10 of us. uh, of course, I mean, if I could work on myself, that'd be a different story. I don't know what that's like though, other than hands, feet, etc. But yeah, energy is very important, especially. But I think there's also a confidence thing there too. Like, I definitely had a hard time when I first came into this career having people trust. Oh, I don't want a man to work on me. male and female, it doesn't matter. And so what sells me per se is just smiling and, and being cohesive to an extent, to my trust in myself and what I'm capable of doing. Like, that's really important, to stick with what your feeling is. Like, I make a judgment call. I can work on you. Oh, you don't want to take your clothes off? That's fine. I only really work on your feet. I can work on, it's on your neck. Let me work on your hands and wrist a little bit. Let's see where it's at. And then it really comes down to conversation. After that, you just got to figure out what your commonalities are. One thing I truly believe in is there's a lot more similarities than differences in human beings. When there's so much hate in the world and stuff like that. I mean, that's one of the things I pride myself on, is the diversity of my clientele. I really do suggest, oh, let me see so and so. If you're a black female, that's the only thing I don't have in my clientele right now, is a black male. And that kind of corresponds, I would say, though, too, with the industry. I think when we were in ethics, we talked about that. That was the least common culture, if you will, in our field. And it's really sad. I've only met one black male therapist in my entire career. But when it comes, I have Asian males, Asian females. I have several black females. I have Latina. I have a few Latino men. But that's really my point of that, is the diversity of it. I think that you really should focus on having a diverse clientele, so that not only are you feeding the population, you're blending the population. And also creating a confidence thing in white males, because I know what I look at in the mirror and the camera. I know what I look like, but I want to be neutral. That's so important to me, in spreading the love. And because under the skin, we are all human beings, and we all have the same energy. That is the truth. Mother Earth and outer space are really just corresponding with each other, and we're all stardust. So having the idea that this career was any one thing can always turn, and it'll always come back to the same path. That being said, I was going to talk about the week that we had at school, those Asian studies. Tui Na is what I actually do. It's Chinese massage, and we did one day in class, and it was the hardest thing I ever did. And I say that as the motions with the hands and stuff are a certain way, and unless you practice it, you're not going to get it. And it's interesting because I've always found myself attracted to, if I can't do something, I'm going to learn how to do it. And versus some things come really easy, which is also, I think, another reason the Swedish massage exists. There's 5 moves in Swedish massage. You're just repeating it, and those are what I call ooh-ah massages. Is vanilla gets. And I'm pro vanilla, by the way. But it's just, I don't understand why people see things complex as difficult. And I see things that are difficult only as if you make them that way. And so it's a trust thing. And so you learn how to craft around the difficulty, in other words, and to the point that it becomes your way. And that's what I do. People ask what I do. I call it George massage. That's what it is. I'm so complex in the way I think, and it comes out on the client in a way that is very gratifying. And I always make sure of that too. At the end, it's really important to get feedback. Do you feel better? Oh, you don't? Let me spend 5 minutes of my own time. I don't charge them when I do that. The job isn't complete until I feel it's complete. I just want to make that very clear. Like I said, I can do almost anything in about 10 or 15 minutes. I have already made a decision. If I can't make a decision, then I need to step away and make a decision. That's Buddhism in itself. There's a saying that says, if you don't know what to do, don't do anything at all, because you're gonna fuck it up. That's what's gonna happen. You're gonna fuck it up, just like as if you're a kid. You learn, well, how am I just gonna force it? Broke. You know, it's the same thing with the human. You force something, it's not gonna get better. It's gonna get worse. And so, just think long term. You know, there's an immediate response, immediate decision, but you're only trying to address towards that one complication. We're not trying to fix that person today forever. Occasionally I get somebody in here that is a one and done, to the sense that, oh, he cured my problem. I have a client I just saw a week or so ago. Oh, you know that foot thing I haven't had a problem with it since. Well, that doesn't mean you're not done healing. It just means that one thing's gone. So, I mean, my pain used to be at a 10 all my entire body. I always have pain every single day, but it's manageable. And so finding things are what is hurting on a regular basis is what I'm good at. But also it's important to like have people sense their own pain. It's I don't know, I guess maybe I'm not surprised anymore, but I was going to say, it always surprises me that people don't, oh, that hurts, I didn't know that hurt. I'm like, how could you not know that hurt? That's got to impede your movement some way. Are you not paying attention? Are you not moving that much? Are you sitting more? Like, yeah, I just, you know, neither here or there. But I don't know, I guess that's why I'm here, is that you can pay me to find it and make it better. Yeah, I guess I'll probably wrap this up now because I've been talking forever. But I would just like to say, like, it's been a long journey. 10 years was a milestone for me. Realistically, 5 years was another milestone. You know, I was stuck in the back of my head when I was in school. They're like, the average lifespan of a massage therapist is 5 years. And I would believe that 100%. I do, because I was burnt out after 5 years. I'm not even working a lot. Like, I didn't like scratch the surface, really. I was just tired. But there was a lot of like history and stuff with that too. I think I was just at a turning point in my age, because at 5 years I was almost 40. So 5 years would have been 2012. So yeah, I was 39. And so yeah, it just, you just have to like step back sometimes, refocus. That's been my motto since school. In school we had a week, or I don't remember what the hell it was, but our homework was to pick out a name for your business. And my brain still worked in a marketing sense back then. I wanted my company to start with an A. It's in the phone book, or it would be at the top of massage. It'd be A, you know, somewhere in there. So I came up with Artisan Massage, and I'm like, I gotta come up with a motto. What do I want my motto to be? And Zen really hit home. Like art of Zen, which was a play on word, because I feel I'm an artisan. What I do, my craft is an art first. The science is there too, but the art is more important to me than the science. When you're painting a picture, it's never done, and I feel like that's how we work on the body. And but I started focusing on this stuff, and it just kept coming back. Zen focus, like, how do I accomplish something? And sometimes you get gratitude out of the journey, but I feel like when you're focusing on your Zen, you're getting gratitude instantly. And I think that's really important to accept in human form, that if you take a moment and just say, what do I need to accomplish today? That is your Zen. You've arrived. you as soon as you don't think you're mindful, that focusing, now you're instantly engaged, you're instantly focusing. Focusing is an action, so you've already put into action what the end game is. There, you have arrived at Zen already. You may not have achieved, like, you actually got something done, like building a birdhouse or taking the dog for a walk. You've not gone through the entire process yet, but just creating it in your head, you're already done. Because once you have that in your mind, that's a dream. And then the goal of getting it accomplished comes down with you performing the actions. And then, so it's like going to the store to buy the goods to make the birdhouse, or it's putting a leash on the dog to get out the door. Oh, I got to get my coat on. That's all the beauty of the Zen. It's so important, and which goes into, like I say, I finished this up about I don't know what you want to call it. It's not a transitioning. It's more like a side gig. My spiritual coaching thing with the Deliberate Pathway. The reason that's important to me is how much I can offer with my experiences and malfunctioning of life. Like, I see a lot of people are accomplished, but I feel like what people perceive as success is monetary or tangible items. For me, the feeling of happiness is the most important item that you can have. And even through all the depression and stuff I still go through, from all the grief I have to process and stuff like that, I can wake up every single day and say I'm happy. Even though I wake up and feel depressed because I lost my loved one last year, I can say I am happy. That is the primal instinct of success in my book. Like, it's so important to me that I don't have that I want to kill myself feeling anymore. It's, people need me. That's the bottom line. And I want people out there that are watching this for as long as I've been recording to put that thought in your head. Somebody needs you. We are only a piece of the puzzle. We are not the entire puzzle. And so you taking away your piece, it may influence other people, but I think you being here and sharing the wealth that you have achieved so far in your life, it doesn't matter if you're 15 or 85, you've got some kind of influence on somebody in your life. If you don't have anybody, you're probably not watching this video. But realistically, I've seen loners lonely. And so my grandfather was a loner, and I thought that made him happy. But really what I think it was him being alone was how he processed stuff. Because I'm like that now too. Road trips, I used to hate road trips alone. Now I love them. But there are times when I need to have people around me, and I don't need to know them, but there's times when I need to have friends and family around me. And just remember, you can always choose your friends, and they become family. And like, the hurt that my family has created in me over the years, I'm not gonna let it make me sad anymore. That's that choice of being happy. It's like you choose who you want to be around. If they want to be around you, that's their choice. You can't control that. That's really important. The idea of artisan massage was more than massage. That was not the premise. It was to get to know these people. I have a program. I call it my family and friends. If you come to me, I typically, if I don't know you or somebody doesn't refer you, in the sense that most of my people come, I have you pay full price, which is, I only charge $100 an hour. Like I say, it's not about the money. I should be charging about $150 an hour. And the only reason I bring that up to say that is because with somebody with my experience and the abilities I have, uh, you're getting good value. That's the truth. I want you to keep coming back to me. I'm going to keep my prices low. But after I get to know you and we discuss, like, you know, your healing trend, like what you want to achieve, I drop it down to $80 an hour. For right now, that's my post-COVID price, since gas and everything got so freaking expensive. I don't want to raise my prices. I was at that price for, I think, 6 years, 7 years. But I've been in this office for 8 years now. Um, I keep my overhead low. I like do everything I can so I can give back to the population. That's so important to me. Um, I know when I had my feet hurting all the times when I was younger, unhappy feet means you're pissed off at everybody. That's what it means. Any kind of pain in your body means you're going to snap at people. If you don't, God bless you. But unhappy people leads to unhappy society. And so I am a community person first. I don't worry about what's going on in the world. I worry about what's going around my world, like what's going on, so I can help people in my community now, and that love will spread. Because I know there's a lot of influencers out there that say, you know, you could do this and you can do that, and it makes everything beautiful. Truth of the matter is, until you're happy, nobody's happy. And so you have to focus on yourself first. Your zen should be inside your body, like in your heart, in your spirit. Your spiritual coach means exactly that. I'm just trying to lift your spirit. But yeah, artisan massage, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to do that until I die. But I do encourage you to come see me as a spiritual coach as well, and we can talk about things that you may be having a hard time processing. It's a never-ending job. There's something I read recently that's talked about, there's nothing not difficult in your life. Everything is hard, and it is true. I'm sure people who are rich have hard things every day. People who are poor have hard things every day. There's pros and cons to everything, and so we just stick together. Tell your people that are closest to you that you love them. Tell a stranger that you love them. You know, there's never a wrong time to say I love you. That's something this gal I dated for a minute said in a speech that she gave. She ran for city council, and that brief time I was with her, I learned a lot. And yeah, beautiful soul. And yeah, I hope someday that she gets over that and runs again. I think she deserves to lead the population. But yeah, I think that's the big thing too. That's where I was built to do. I always felt I was a leader. Too scared to voice my opinion. Had too much stuff going on in my childhood to focus on that, and now I got myself well. I can do better. We can all do better. Aspire to inspire. All right. Send them peace and love. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.